Hey there, good afternoon, good evening, parents. My name is Kyle Cahill, and I am your child's math teacher for Math 7 here in the 2020-21 school year in our hybrid learning model. And I do not feel at home in front of a computer screen talking to it. So I will do my best here. I look forward to hopefully meeting all of you in person or at least virtually soon enough. But I wanted to give you an idea of who I am and introduce myself so you at least have a face to go with a name. I am Kyle Cahill, and there's my email address there. If you ever need anything, if you have any questions, or if there's anything I can do to support you through this process or to support your kids, please let me know. If it's math related or not, happy to help out. If I can't answer your questions, I'm sure that I can find somebody who can. So let me know if you need anything. Those are my two little ones there. That was my quarantine in my last few months was watching my 1 and 3 year old get a little bit bigger and a little bit more into their personalities. So they are a handful and they keep me busy. But this year we will be working. This is Math 7 is the second course for Big Ideas. And so Big Ideas goes from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, course 1, 2, and 3. This year we'll be working on, and we'll actually be doing this in a slightly different order this year. The first thing we're going to do is probability and statistics. And then we will be doing integers and rational numbers. That will be our first quarter. Then we'll be looking into expressions, equations, and inequalities. We'll be building on what they did in 6th grade with ratio and proportion and percent. And then in geometry, we'll be looking at some 2D and 3D geometry, and then we'll be including circles with that as well. So circles is really the big addition to our geometry this year, working on the relationships that are presented there. So our grades in math in 7th grade are weighted grades. And so when you look in PowerSchool, you will see obviously A, B, C, D, F, the standard numbers, 10-point scale there. But if you're looking at the percentage overall and you can't quite figure out why the overall percentage is working out the way that it is, the breakdown for the grades this year, the homework, classwork, and then any remote work that they do, that's going to be broken down as 15% of their overall grade. So each of those assignments will essentially be 2 points for the most part. There might be some exceptions to that, but we try and balance that out so that one assignment isn't worth more than others. And they will get all of those points if they do all of their work for this quarter. And that's based on completion. It's not going to be correctness. So if they're doing all of their work, they automatically start with 15 points towards their grade. The flip side of that is if they do none of their work, that's a minus 15, and they'd be starting at an 85 if they got 100% on every quiz and every test that we have this year. So just something to think about as they're working on homework, classwork, and remote work. Quizzes will be 35%, and we have two in math. We have two main kinds of quiz. One is going to be called a target checkpoint, and those are smaller, they're shorter, they're on usually like 1, maybe 2 topics, and they're always going to be open note. And so students will be able to use anything that they have done in class, anything that they've done remotely, any homework that they have. If they can find it in their notebook, if they can find it in their folders, they can use it on those TCs, those target checkpoints. Other than those, we'll also have normal unit quizzes, and those will be a little bit bigger, a little longer. Those are more check-ins before we get to tests on how much are we retaining and how much are we really understanding. And so those will not be open note, and those quizzes will combine with the target checkpoints and be 35% of their grade. The rest of their grade will be based on their tests, and 50% of that will be on their test grades. We'll usually have a couple of those per quarter. It's also, we understand it's still middle school and things happen. Students think that they're prepared, and then they come in, they take the test, and they don't do as well as they thought that they would. And so with that in mind, I do offer retakes on quizzes and tests. Anything that is an assessment, I don't want anything that they didn't do well on to be locked and set in stone. And so anything on a quiz or a test, if they want to go back and study and relearn and then show me that they've mastered that, I want their grade to reflect that, and I want their hard work to show in their final grade. And so I will replace any score that they have with their retake score. If they retake it and they get 100, they have 100. I'm not going to average it. I'm not going to cap their maximum score or anything like that. If they can put that effort in, I want to make sure that they get credit for that. The only thing I won't let them retake will be those target checkpoints, just since they're open note. I want students to kind of learn some of those note-taking skills and organizational skills. And so if we're seeing that your student is not doing well on those TCs, that might be an indication that we have to look at either their organization or maybe how are they, when they're completing work, if they're completing work, are they really putting thought into it? Are they really getting everything down that they need to get down? So if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free, reach out to me and let me know, and I'll be happy to answer anything that I can. I know I'm going quickly through this. So our homework, homework will really only be assigned when they are here in person. I'm not going to give homework on remote days. The remote days will just be remote work. And so they will get 2 points, but it will not be necessarily for this is the remote work, this is the homework after remote work. So on in-person days, they will usually have a homework assignment. I shoot for 15 to 20 minutes. I don't want them to really be working much longer than that. If they've gone beyond 30, that's kind of up to you and your discretion. But I am more than happy if you email me and say, my kid has been working on the assignment for 45 minutes and we're going to call it. I will most definitely give you and give them credit for that effort, even if they don't necessarily finish an assignment, if I misjudge how long it's going to take. So if they don't have homework, we do have some other things that they can work on in practice. I'll talk about those a little bit later, but IXL is always a big one. It has a lot of different skills that they can work on. I'll always take late work up until the end of a quarter. Usually I'll cut it off maybe the week before the quarter ends, just to make sure that I have time to get things graded and get the grade book set up before our grades are due. But anything that is late, I won't give full credit for, but they can get up to 80% credit. And so that's certainly better than a big old 0 in the grade book. Extra help this year. At this point this year, we aren't able to do after school, before school help, but I do have office hours. And for math, those office hours are on Mondays from 11 to 11:50, and we have a Teams meeting that is set up. They should have a link on Schoology, and I believe they should have an invite in Microsoft Teams if they have seen that before. But those office hours are optional, and they're going to be times when students can come in and really get that extra help or ask questions. If your student can't make that time, they will not be missing anything new. They won't be missing any instruction. It's really just going to be me answering questions if students have any. So if you have any questions on those office hours or how that time will work, let me know. A couple things on the technology side. PowerSchool is going to be where you'll find your students' grades. If you click on the actual grade, if you click on the number that they have or the letter, it will go in and it will show you a breakdown of every assignment. And you can see, I will use NHI. If you ever see that, that's called not handed in. So any missing work will have an NHI in PowerSchool. And then, if you see anything else, I'll mark things that are late as late. I'll mark things that are missing as missing. So if you have any questions in PowerSchool, let me know. Schoology is going to be our home base for all of our learning this year. Whether they're in person or remote, I'm going to try and get everything that we're doing in class and at home on that Schoology page, so that if students forget something, if they lose something, if they're absent for a day, an absent day is maybe a little bit more of a penalty these days when we only have 2 days in person. And so that will all be available on Schoology. You will see, if you go into Schoology with your student, the way that we're setting it up is we're going to have weekly folders. And then within those folders, we're going to have daily folders that show all of the work that they need to do for that one particular day. So. Big Ideas is our textbook, which we mentioned earlier. So Big Ideas has everything in the textbook available online. And so the online resource is actually super valuable. Whenever we do Big Ideas homework, I'm going to ask students to do it online because they get it scored and graded immediately. And so they can see, I turned it in, I got 100%. I turned it in and I got a 12%. And so it gives me immediate feedback on if we need to do a specific problem in class, and it gives students immediate feedback on how they did on that homework. Again, if they get a 12% on a homework, they still get credit for doing the homework. It's just going to lead to some good conversations on, hey, what do we need to work on in order to get to that point where when we get to quizzes and tests that we know what we're doing. So if you really need a textbook at home, I'm happy to check one out to you. I've just found over the years that students who use the online resources usually have plenty. Those textbooks, if they get damaged, if they get lost, to replace one, I think is like $90. And so, just as far as checking one out to everybody, I find that there's not a ton of value, but if you want a book at home, I will definitely make sure that you get one. So just let me know and I'll send out an email form. And if you want one to have at home, just let me know through that and I will get one to you. IXL is if you were here last year, I believe most of the sixth grade classes used it, but it's a great practice kind of skill and drill um, resource. And so I'd say the only thing that I would say is a big negative around IXL is that there's just so much. I think in seventh grade, there's something like 350 different categories, different strands of IXL. And so that can be a little bit overwhelming. And so what I'm going to have students do, they have what's called a diagnostic in IXL, and that will give students, as they're getting questions right, it will get harder and harder until they start to get questions wrong, and then it will get easier, and it narrows in on a number for them overall. And then it also gives us individual scores for different categories. And so once I get some information there, or as I get to know your students and kind of their math strengths and maybe some gaps or weaknesses that they might have, I will definitely reach out to you and let you know. I think that it would be valuable for your student to work on this or to work on that, and I'll try and tailor that to your individual students if I can, or at least the best that I can. So that's all that I have for you today. I had some videos to kind of walk through if we were actually in person, but I will probably send those out via email so that you can watch them if you choose to. And other than that, yeah, I hope to have a great year. I hope to stay in person for as long as we possibly can. And hopefully that will be all year long. If not, we will adapt and we will do the best that we can. As I said, I am here to do whatever I can to make sure that this year is as good for you and for your students as it can possibly be. So if you have anything that I can do for you to make this a better experience, please let me know, and I will definitely do my best to accommodate. Have a great year, and reach out to me if you need anything. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Bye.